Hello. Forgive me. I had someone at the door. A delivery came. Where was I? Oh yeah. So I'm not saying that these are the words that are going to be said like this. There'd be some new thing. Although that I think it's quite obvious there's going to be a verbal submittance thing, like you're verbally was like those that are gonna submit to the Antichrist. A lot of people of the world, and this system's going to implement it. You have to do this. You have to verbally worship yourself to him and obey and worship and bow down to him, submit and to the system and everything. From a historical point as well, this is another thing that I was brought to the understanding of. I think the world, the community, the watchman community, and other people of the body that are watching for all these things and that, I think they're missing something really big. They keep watching. The main focus is always on a physical mark. It's always on a physical because they're like, in order to buy and sell in this new system, obviously there's going to be some new thing you've got to accept and that. But you've also got to think of it from a whole. If there was, and I'm not saying this is how it's going to be, I'm saying possibility. You got to look at it from a point of how bad it's all going to be by the time he brings us in terms of, right, so in the past, let's say, take King Nebuchadnezzar. He had a statue put up of him, golden statue, and all was forced to bow and worship to this statue. And those that wouldn't were thrown into the furnace. Like, there was no choice, you had to or die. Take the Roman, and there's many instances of this sort of thing, where if you didn't wash it or you didn't have proof that you worship this or that, and you have no documentation to prove that you've done your daily worship to this whatever, you could be excluded from partaking in society. And that. Take the Roman Empire, the imperial cult. Take that for example. You had to worship Caesar, pray to him, worship Caesar and that, and you had to have and give incense and that, and you had to have some sort of document proof that you had done your worship and thingy of Caesar. And if you haven't got any proof, document wise or whatever it was that they had, and you hadn't, or you refused to do it, you were excluded from society. Like from, I'm not sure if it's like a complete thing. Buying and selling was obviously probably a big possible I've looked briefly into it, and it seemed to have affected people's ability of buying and selling, having money. I need to look deeper into it, but from what I've gathered so far, that seems to be the case. And there were instances of imprisonment and even death. And I think this is something that needs to be looked at to understand the mark of the beast in the system. You need to look at the historical points of things like this that has taken place. If people didn't worship something, a statue or a person as a god or whatever, what they faced if they refused or they didn't, in what ways they suffered in that, and how it all connects with what's going to be coming on the scene in the tribulation, what the Antichrist system is going to be. Because here's the thing, I think we're looking at it wrong as well in terms of, like what I was saying, the system in those times, it was based on your obeying and worship of a person or idol, statue, or as a god or whatever. And I think that's basically what it's, from what I'm being brought to understanding of, I think that's what it's going to be. That's how the system's going to be. It's mainly upon the worship and that of the Antichrist and his image. Possible giving incense like in the past in terms of Caesar and that. And to show proof, they had some sort of document proof thing. Whereas there would probably be some sort of mark put on you and that, in order to be allowed to be part of society, and in order to buy and sell. See, people just look at it from a physical wash it of, oh, you won't be able to buy and sell without this new device, or this new digital device, because it's all going to be cashless. It's all going to be a new digital currency thing and all that. But I'm not saying that sort of thing ain't going to be the case, but you're looking at it wrong. From the whole point is, you won't be able to buy and sell unless you worship the beast and the image of the beast, unless you take this mark. You're looking at the physical side more than you are the spiritual side, unless you take the worship mark of worshipping the beast, rejecting God and accepting this beast that will be on the scene, claiming to be God. Unless you do that, unless you reject God and you proclaim this Antichrist as God, you speak the Anti-Shema of hero world, the chosen sovereign Messiah one is God. He is the one, and there's no one above him. Like, we need to look at the spiritual side and the obvious things that's speaking out, that's being shown by God, by Yeshua. Because it's there, it's shouting in your face, and the only things you're seeing through your tunnel vision is the chip, microchip, implant thing, tattoo, digital tattoo thing that you can pay and buy with, and all that. You're focusing too much on the money side of the ability of paying that, if it's digital currency from now on, no cash and all that. But you're missing the whole point of, you won't be able to buy and sell unless you have the mark of worship and obedience to the beast in the beast system. It's not just a physical thing. It's a spiritual mark of obedience and worship of who you've accepted over God. It is the enemy's anti-Shema, counterfeit, messed up, upside down version of the Shema of God. Whereas with the enemy, with his system, his mark, you have no choice. If you don't accept it, if you don't worship him, then it's exclusion from society, imprisonment, death. There is no choice, free will, when it comes to the enemy. No free will. Whereas with God we have the free will. We were not forced to serve, follow, and worship, and love, and obey the Lord our God. It's by our own choice. We're allowed to come on by our own choice, by our own wanting. But we don't have that same luxury and choice with the enemy. And all those that will be facing that, so many will fear death that they will do it. So many will fear the children that have been born during that time, or the older young adults that be there. Like, so many will fear them starving or whatever, or being killed, or whatever, that they will all take it, will all worship the beast, accept him as their God, and worship him. The poor, the homeless, like the dying, the sick, they'll probably be promised healing of some kind or whatever. Like it will all be from fear. And so many of the lukewarms and the spiritual lust and that, like, they will know this. The focus on what's there, or shouting out. The whole point of what the mark is. Stop focusing on it from a point of view of just this physical thing of the ability of buying and selling No, it's a spiritual mark of worship and that to the beast, and whatever the mark will be to show the proof to everyone, to the law and everyone, and to police and whatever, and to places to buy whatever. This physical mark, whether it be some sort of tattoo mark or whatever, it'll be the proof of that you've done it, that you're able to buy and sell in places and that, because you're obeying this new worldly system. You're submitted to this whole new. You will be seen as a rebellion, like a rebeller, a troublemaker, and that if you ain't joining part of this new society, and that you'll be an outsider, looked down upon, and that. You saw it from when you saw how it went with the whole COVID thing. All those that didn't take the injection vaccine thing, how people that did take it, how they looked down at all these people that refused to, how the media or the government or whatever thing encouraged these people to look down or start on them or attack them or whatever, like, or made them in a mockery and all this sort of thing. You saw that was just a taster of what it's going to be like. So all those that won't take the mark, it's just going to be like that, but a whole lot worse. So yes, how you buy in terms of the way you pay for things is probably going to be different, or it probably won't be so different, apart from it will completely be through devices and that. And I'm not saying maybe people won't get some sort of device put in them to be able to pay differently or whatever, but the mark, if there be a physical proof mark that you've got the that you've been part of the society, you're worshipping the beast and everything like that, it'd probably just be like a tattoo proof mark, identification proof type thing, tattoo thing of to prove that, instead of a bit of paper which shows, like, yeah. So that's the gist of what I have at the moment, as in regards to this, and I will have more to say on this. I feel like the Lord will have me speak more on this. And give more understanding. Because it is important. Very important. Okay. Let us pray. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven, give us this day our daily bread. Forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those that trespass against us. And let us not be delivered into temptation, but deliver us from the evil one. For thine is the kingdom and power and glory forever and ever. This I know to be true. This I believe always. And one more time with the Shema. Shema Yisrael, Chadonai Eloheinu, Chadonai Echad, Baruch Shem Kavod, Malchuto Lachlem Che'ed. Shema Yisrael, Chadonai Eloheinu, Chadonai Echad, Baruch Shem Kavod, Malchuto Lachlem Che'ed. May the Lord bless you and keep you and shine his face upon you and be gracious to you and bring you peace. In Yeshua's name. Amen. Shalom.